Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to guests who are in the mental health space or somebody who experiences or lives with a mental health challenge or mental health advocates. And this is episode number 15. Yay! I am so excited to bring up one of my friends, Lizsolette Williams, and I'm gonna bring her into the stream.
Hey
Welcome.
there. Hi, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on Mental Health Mondays today.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yay. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Lizsolette Williams, and I am actually a Usui Holy Fire Reiki Master Teacher and a spiritual life coach and mentor known as the Healer's Coach. It's been a long journey to get to this space, but I definitely wanted to be here and talk with you because of some mental health issues that I had went through years prior, and it took my spirituality to get me through it. Because I didn't really have anybody else to turn to at the time, or at least I felt like I didn't have anyone to turn to. So definitely wanted to get on here and talk to you about it and just share about why I'm an advocate for mental health. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know that Reiki is fairly new for you, right? Is that
Yes. It's interesting because, you know, in what we were together, about connecting the dots, looking backwards. I remembered when I was like 6 to 8 years old, I was watching a movie, and this lady was having tent services, and she was going around and she was laying hands on people, and people were getting healed. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to heal people. Now, I was a kid, right? And so all these years later in my adult life, I got very heavily involved in the church, got licensed and ordained as a minister. I was consecrated into the office of a prophetess, a whole lot of leadership and a lot of responsibilities. But one of the things that I had a passion for was praying. And there were times I would get a prompt from the spirit to touch people, hug people. And unknowingly to me, they were going through something and they would experience healing. So coming out of the church, it was like a 10-year process of healing. And I got the Reiki tap on my shoulder. It was like the spirit was like, get your Reiki certification. Now, I had never had a Reiki session. I just knew it was energy healing, but I didn't know anything about it. And so that was like about 9 months ago.
Mm.
And so I got my certification for the Usui Holy Fire 1 and 2. And then I waited the 6 months, and then I got my master certification a month ago. So that's how I'm
Yay.
here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit of your story. I don't know all of it, but tell me a little bit more about that like transition. I mean, I think it's really cool everything that you've not cool, I guess. It's a very interesting story to me like how you have shifted and transitioned.
Yeah. Even like as a child, I always had this knowing and a belief of God through dreams, through visions, through just knowing things. I could like would have these conversations, and I knew it was God. And so as I grew up, it wasn't until I left New York because from the Bronx originally, and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina when I was 30. And around 34 years old, it was like I got this tap. Like, yeah, I started going to church. And so I started getting into church, and I would go to different churches. And I went through different experiences, but I landed in one church where I felt like I was finally seen for who I was. And that's when I was put into leadership, and I was armor bearer to both pastors. I was both pastors' assistants. I was over singles women's ministry. I was over the prayer ministry, church administrator, and I cleaned the church because I was doing a lot.
Wow.
But it was in that space of about 6 years, I started seeing things and feeling certain ways because I was hearing things and it just wasn't sitting right with me. And I found myself getting really angry with God because I didn't understand why he was not checking the pastor, so to say. And I was going back and forth, back and forth. So the last 2 years there, I was really, really miserable, and I wasn't happy, and my whole life was drying up, and I didn't understand why, because I was doing everything in the church. I was serving. And it wasn't until I had the realization that that wasn't God's will for me that things started opening up. And it was kind of like I felt like I was in the twilight zone. Things that I had once been in agreement with, I no longer agreed with. And the things that were being said to me to do and how to not help people. It was really, really different. And it was like I got that realization, and it was like, okay, I need to get out of here. And when I knew that, I just followed it in my intuition, and step by step I left. And from leaving there, that's when I had the whole experience of coming to understand it's not about having a religion, it's about the relationship with the spirit. And so a lot of the things I had to deal with, I had to forgive them, and have a place of compassion and understanding that they were only teaching what they believed to be true, the same way I used to believe it. And I just happened to get to a place in my relationship with God that He was like, no, let me show you. And literally, the Spirit dropped to me, stop going to church. Let me show you how to be the church.
Wow.
And I had to go through a lot of layers of self reflection and self forgiveness. I didn't believe I was worthy. I didn't think I was lovable. I didn't think I was enough. So all the things that I was doing in the church was to be accepted by God, and I already was. So all the things that I was doing and I was subjecting myself to, all those times that I felt like, I need to say something, I had a fear that if I spoke up, that God was going to punish me. So I had to look at all of that, and it stemmed from my, traumas from childhood, from dad leaving, the abandonment issues, the rejection issues, being molested as a child, being raped as a teenager. So I had healed from that stuff, but my mindsets and my thought processes had not been renewed. And so I had to really go through that process of looking within, and really dealing with that. And part of it was when my daughter went to live with her dad and stepmom for her last 2 years of high school. I felt like a failure as a mom, and I felt like I was punishing me. And that's when I was entertaining killing myself.
Wow.
And I was having constant thoughts of how I would do it. And, it was crazy because it was a side of me that knew that I wouldn't, but it was scary the fact that I was actually entertaining it, So I had to look at all of that and I got through it through a lot of prayer and inner reflection. And that's the journey. It's been like a 9 to 10 year journey to get me to where I am today, because it took a lot of healing because it was just one-on-one with me in the spirit.
Wow. I mean, that's just, it gives me like chills when you talk, just because, I mean, I know that there's so much that you've gone through, and thank you for sharing that also. And so it led you into the space of where you found like religion, you found the church, like that type of religion, right? And then you really started making this transition of like, do I actually believe what they're talking about, or is it something that I need to believe within myself? And I know, at least for me personally, I mean, I was born and raised in the Mormon church. I grew up in Utah most of my life. And then I moved to Colorado when I was 7 years old. And it's just a whole different culture here in general. And so for me, that's when I started challenging things, was like around 12 years old, of like, is this really what I believe in? And for me, I know that I don't go to church now, but I still believe. And whether it be the universe or God or something beyond me, right? Like, I don't know what that is, but I do know that I have belief in something, and I don't necessarily have to go to church to, make that happen, right? So it's cool. I mean, when you and I met, like, I could just tell, I mean, you were kind of really in that transition phase too. And watching you over the last several months has just been incredible. I love that you're like really stepping into your power and finding that you can still have this belief it just is translating a little bit different. So I think that's so cool.
Definitely. Like when I sit back and think about it now, it's like, I had really got caught into the it's this way or the highway, and now I am so open where to me, it doesn't matter what somebody believes. Like I said, whether it's universe, God, source, it's all, to me, it's all one and the same, and how the spirit relates to each one of us as a unique individual. And it's okay to believe in Jesus. It's okay to believe in Buddha. Whatever it is that you believe in, it's okay, because it has to resonate with your spirit. And that's part of our mental health, is being in tune with who you are, spiritually. Is such an intimate part of who we are. It's like the essence of our, it's the very essence of our being. So when that's out of alignment, and you're not at comfort in your and not at peace within yourself about your spirituality, it really causes havoc in your mindset. And the thing about the spirituality is, when you're in alignment with it and when you're in peace with it, it helps bring so much healing to those mindsets that hinder us, that hurt us, that prohibit us from being who we are. Look at you, if you would have stayed in that religion, even though it didn't resonate with you, would you really be here today? And I mean, like, doing what you're doing, because it suppresses you, it holds you down. And I literally felt like I was dying. How do you go to church and feel like you're dying on the inside? That's supposed to be a place where it lifts you up. And this is not about knocking the church, because I did go through a season where I was like, I'm gonna tear the church down, and I'm gonna show everybody that they're frauds. No, 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 no. They are doing what they are supposed to do. They were a necessary ingredient to my healing. I had to go through what I went through. I had to subject myself to being taken advantage of, to being abused, to being controlled and manipulated, because that is what pushed me to start looking within. Like, why do I feel this way? And why do I feel like God is going to punish me? And it was the conditioning that I had went through. And the spirit was like, we need to peel back all these layers, And I look at layer like an onion. You peel back the layer by layer to get to the core, to get to the heart of the matter. And when I owned that I didn't love myself, that I didn't think I was worthy, that I didn't think I was enough, that I honored God in them and put them on a pedestal while I put myself down, who was there responsible other than me? Mm-hmm. I had to look at myself. And when I looked at myself, it was mindsets that I had never really dealt with and needed healing.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up such a good, like, you talk about the mindset, right? And it's not we're not like here saying like you can or can't be religious, right? Like you can or can't go to church. It's more of just that mindset of like, what is coming up for you. Like if you have gone through a lot of trauma, if you have gone through abuse, if you've gone through all of these things, there is a way to be able to heal yourself too. And it could be through whatever like the spirits, through spirituality. It could be through just mindset, like your own understanding of yourself, right? Yes. And being able to like tune into that. And I know for me, like I went through a period of time too that I was just like rejecting the spiritual part, right? Like I was like, I'm not spiritual. That's not what I do. That's not my thing. And then as I've really, I mean, more and more really this last year, I'm like, I need to figure out why I'm rejecting it so much. Like what is it within me that is causing me to have this rejection of the word spirit, right? Like what does it mean to me? So I think it's cool how you have opened up, and it's a whole, right? It's not just church, it's not just religion, it's like a whole being of you, which is part of that spirit. So
yeah, definitely. And that's part of the process too. You said the rejection of it, because when I left, I went from one church And I went to another one that was very strong in the prophetic, because I felt like my prophetic had been like squashed, it just been killed. And so I went there, and I consider them like a prophetic defibrillator for me because it recharged that gift. But when it came down to me speaking, what I was getting from the spirit, at first it was all good because it was building them up. Then when it came to saying something, still in love, but like, hey, how about we do this instead of this? It was like I got dragged from the pulpit, and it was like, okay. I said, after what I just went through, this is light work. And so from there, I left, and I remember the spirit saying, I told you, stop going to church. Let me show you how to be the church. And I still had this conditioning that could be the devil trying to trick me. I still had that mindset. So when I left, and a few times I would go to different services, just to visit different churches, and I would hear the same thing. I found myself getting angry. And one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I was told to do, and I'm going to stop going so I can learn to be. But I shut down everything. Like, I stopped praying. I stopped reading the word. It was like there was nothing that interested me anymore. And I realized after the fact that that was necessary, because I needed to get all those voices from religion and all the things that I had been taught out of me. And I had to feel somewhat of freedom to start living life without the worry of, if I mess up, I'm going to get struck down by God by lightning, or he's going to open up the earth and swallow me whole because I said something about a man or woman of God. So it was a lot of that healing for me. And part of that shutting down the whole spiritual part of myself was part of it. And then one day it was kind of like, man, I really need to start, I really need to start talking to God again. Like, I really need to start listening and, just tuning back in. And it was like, it was always there. Like, even in my getaway, the spirit was always in me because we're one.
So the thing that pops into my head, and this is just a thought that has come up. So like, I mean, in the mental health world, we really like to have open conversations and, like really have the conversation around like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Like not that necessarily, but there was a post that happened on Facebook with one of my friends, and basically they were saying like they were sick of people that were really like churchgoers, because all they would say is, we'll pray for you. And and it brought up this whole conversation around like, is it that, and I mean, again, this is just something in my head, but is it that maybe they don't have like the coping skills or the conversation skills to really understand how to truly ask somebody how they're doing? So they just assume that praying for them is going to solve all the answers.
Yeah, that I'll pray for you. To me, I used to be one of the people that would say that. I'll pray for you. And oh, okay. And then when it's you that is in need and somebody tells you, I'll pray for you, you like, okay. When you're in the midst of it, you like, that's not what I need right now. Like, I've been praying. You think I'm not praying? I need help. I need this. I need guidance. I need finances. I need a job. I need, so somebody is looking for something specific. And a lot of times, from my personal experience, I realized that when we would say, or when I would say, I'll pray for you, it's because I really wasn't hearing and in tune with the person's needs. I was too self-absorbed. I was too much caught into my own thing. Like, oh, I'll pray for you. It was like a Christian ease thing to say. And then I wasn't going home and praying for them, and now there were times when I was led to, and it's a totally different spirit and energy behind it when somebody's sharing with you and you feel like, okay, you know what, I'm going to pray for you. And you pray for them right there on the spot. Like, I've done that. And I've seen people get emotional healing, emotional breakthrough, just cry and I hold them in my arms. That's different than oh, I'll pray for you. And then you just kind of go about your way. And they're not praying. Most people, I should say, they're not praying for you. It's just a way to say, God's going to take care of it. But if we really, even when you think about the word, and the word says, don't you know that ye are little gods? Even if you take it from that perspective and you believe that you're one with God, then you should be able to know that the power that's on the inside of you, you should be able to stop what you're doing, pray for the person right then, right there, and know that that person's going to get a breakthrough. But we don't believe that. When I was in the church, I believed God was separate from me. That not that we were one and God's on the inside of me as I sit on the inside of the Spirit of God. Like, I didn't really have that belief. I kept looking for God to come and rescue me when I was my rescue, because the Spirit of God was on the inside of me. So people look for the power outside of themselves instead of inside of themselves. So that's one of those things now when I have it, like, oh Lord. Like, okay, I just like, okay, thank you. Like, I understand where they are, and I just let it go, just unless sometimes lately I've been told to call people out for stuff. So that's a whole different topic. It's always in love, but they have to be open to it.
Yeah. And that, I mean, it was just something that like, I was like, and I'll say oftentimes, like when people are like, I need prayers, I'm like, hey, I don't pray, but I'll send you like positive thoughts and energy. And I like the Care Bear stare GIF that you can send, right? Like it's like sending out the energies. Like,
yes,
that's very much where I'm at in the space now, is more, it's the energy, right? It's like I really truly care about this person and I do want to send you good energy.
yes.
But I am not, and I will tell people, I'm like, I'm not a prayer, but I'll send you what energy I have, whatever I have left. I mean, or I'll just send you a Care Bear gift, but yeah.
And that's like with the Reiki, like I send Reiki healing energy. Like I have this board that I did, and like I have Ukraine up there. So when I get up after I take my shower, I spend a little bit of time, I activate the Reiki energy. That's one of the places that I send Reiki to, along with some names that I have. So I actually do that because, like you said, it's like sending love and light, it's sending healing energy. And that's so powerful, better than just like, I'll pray for you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like actual, I mean, you actually can physically, energetically, like give people love and light, right? Versus the just words, like action versus word.
And not nothing against prayer, because I know prayer can and does work, but you really have to be in that spirit where you're really, allowing the spirit within to flow through you. Because sometimes like I'll pray and I'm saying things that there's no way I would know it, because I'm getting an intuitive, inspirational hit from the spirit. So what's coming out of my mouth to pray over people is like there. And like when I do the Reiki sessions on Tuesdays, I know you've been in a couple of times.
Yep.
And I'll get what to write down. And so I'm saying it to people. But words are power and words are life, and words can bring healing. So I do believe in the power of prayer. But I think most of the times when people are saying, I'll pray for you, they're just not. It's just a way to get you away, because they don't really want to deal with your issues and they don't want to hear it because they're caught up in their own selves and their life. It's very selfish, but and I was like that. I used to be like that. So I get it, but when you're in it, you don't see it. You don't see it.
Very true. Yeah. So if there is anybody out there that watches this, if they're just like having this inner battle, really, because like that's what I feel like it starts to become really when you're and I'm not saying like churches are an institution, but in a way they kind of are, right? Like when you're having this battle of like, do I really truly believe what I have grown up with, what everybody tells me to believe, or am I like wanting to make this shift? Like, do you have any tips or things that you can give people to kind of lead them where they need to be?
Yeah. Well, once you start having those questions and those doubts, it's that's it. That's your evidence right there. When you start questioning what you believe, there's nothing wrong with questioning what you've been taught. And it's very scary, because if you've built a life upon everything that you believed, and now all of a sudden you're having these thoughts that, you know what, I don't know if I really believe this anymore. This doesn't really feel right to me anymore. You need to look at that, and you need to honor yourself by allowing yourself to take a step away, even if it's just, for a weekend. You lock yourself in, you don't go to the service, or you don't do the things you would normally do, and just really spend time with yourself and really question, like, what am I really believing? For me, I love being by the water. So if you can get by the water, whether it's a beach or whether it's a lake, a park with a beautiful lake that you can go to, any place in nature that makes you feel peaceful, go sit with yourself, take a journal, take a pen, really write out your thoughts and be okay. Understand that you are not your thoughts, that you're having them for a reason. And it's okay. It's okay to change your beliefs. When things like that show up, it's because there's something that's not really resonating with you. And when you really discover why you believe what you believe, most of the times it's because that's what you've been raised to believe. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's serving you anymore. So if it's not serving you any longer, you're going to have those doubts. And it's okay to investigate. Have fun with it. Investigate. If you feel fearful, ask yourself, why am I scared to look at something else? Because that was something I had to deal with. I had a fear, like, oh my God, am I being deceived? Am I sending myself to hell? But then I kept seeing all the blessings every day. I kept seeing how, even though I was shifting, things were I would have different signs confirming that I was on the right path. Sometimes it was a billboard. Sometimes as soon as I turned on the radio, a song would come on speaking to the very thing that I was thinking about. Or I would get a phone call or a text, so many different ways. Something on social media would jump out at me. So look for all the signs, listen to yourself, and don't be scared to investigate why you're having those thoughts, and know that it's okay.
Yeah, for me, like numbers, ever since really ever since my sister passed, and then I had a ex that passed a couple years before her, and ever since he did, like numbers have always been this like thing, right? And especially over this last week, like I see the 11 11s, 2 2s, the 4 4s, the 5 5s, right? Like all the repetition. And so for me, like when it first started happening, I was like, this is kind of weird. And then it kept more and more and more. And then I started learning more about like angel numbers and all of that. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are certain times that I go without ever, like there could be a month or so that there's not the numbers. And then all of a sudden it's like every single day, like every single number. And I'm like, oh man, like then it's really like, start paying attention and see like what is really truly like popping out or around, or like just I love you said investigate. It doesn't hurt to investigate.
It doesn't. And because a lot of times that's what holds us back, is we're fearful. We're fearful, and it's like, why why are we so afraid that if we look into something, that means we're going to get punished? Like, where do we get this from? And then when you get free, you're like, oh my goodness, what took me so long to get here? But then you open up so much more. You have so much more love and so much more compassion for other people. So like now when I see people, who are really caught up in church and religion, I get it. I understand it because I went through it, and I can embrace where they are because this is their part of their journey. And I came out. So everybody's not going to come out of that because it's not meant for them in this part of their journey. And so you have to learn to accept people and love people exactly where they are. And when you have that for yourself, it's so much easier to give to other people because you're giving from the overflow. You know, you can't give somebody what you don't have for yourself. So if you don't have peace within, if you don't love yourself, if you don't have fun just being who you are, it's kind of hard to really extend that to somebody else. You'll say you'll do it, but it's always conditions. When you have it for yourself authentically, you give it unconditionally to others. So allow yourself the time to investigate and to look at other things and be okay. You'll be amazed at what you find.
Yeah, that's so I mean, I know I've talked about this before, but I do Kinergy in the morning. It's like an
Mhm.
energy, dance, body movement, exercise thing.
Yes.
And it goes through all of the elements. So it's like
Mm.
earth, fire, wind, water, and then ether. And it's just
Mm.
cool like to go through the elements and really like it's like it's almost like a whole investigation the whole time that you're exercising. Um,
Mm.
so I think that's really cool. And then I do know, so Clubhouse, you have been
Yes.
on Clubhouse consistently. Tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Okay, that was definitely interesting because, when I got on Clubhouse, it was still just Apple only, and I had an Android phone, and I was like, "How am I supposed to get on Clubhouse?" And it's not on Android, and I forgot I had an old iPad, and the spirit literally was like, "Your iPad." And so when I went on the iPad, I went to download it, and I was one version away from being able to download it. You know how Apple does the updates, and it was like something like 12.9 something, and I needed version 13. I was like, "You're kidding me?" So I had to go get a new iPad because it was like an intuitive prompt: get on Clubhouse,
Wow.
and that opens me up. When I got on Clubhouse, and I was like, "Wait a minute." I went in these rooms and people were doing oracle card readings. People were doing, you know, just speaking into your life. It was like all these spiritual conversations. I kind of was like this, like, hey, what is this Clubhouse? Like, what's going on? And that's really what opened me up because it showed me that it was safe for me to come out. And then it was like, okay, so I can start sharing, I could start doing something, and I could still kind of hide because it's all audio. So you don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to, nobody has to see you. You could be in your PJs, you could be whatever because it's all audio. So you still kind of like that. I can still hide, but let me, you go in a few rooms and you talk, and then you start seeing people start following you because people are resonating with what they're saying. Then it was like, okay, well, I met a couple of young ladies and we like, let's do this Reiki collaboration. And so we did that. And that's been going on strong for like about 7 months now,
Yeah.
every Tuesday. And so now, like even today, with some of my students, I have them practicing Reiki on Mondays in the Clubhouse. So it's been amazing. Clubhouse has definitely been my go-to social media platform because you get to share, you get to be heard. And who doesn't want to be heard? Might not want to be seen, but who does not want to be heard? So
Yeah, I remember the first you're like, "You gotta get on Clubhouse," and I still yet instead I went on YouTube and started a show, but
that's awesome. Yeah.
right. But I mean, I know that Clubhouse has been really powerful for a lot of people. And I did come in and join you and the other ladies. And I mean, just the energy of being in that room and
Mhm.
like understanding a little bit more about Reiki. Like, I have a lot of friends who actually do Reiki, but I'd never really tuned in or listened until you had like pinged me in, and I was like, wow, this is really powerful. It's really cool.
Mhm.
So, yeah, what else are you I know you just talk about some of your students. So, tell us a little bit about that part.
Okay, so when I got my master certification, when you get your master certification in Reiki, that means you can now teach and certify others. So that lit me up. I had no idea how much teaching was just going to go like on the inside of me. I felt like I came alive for real. It's something about seeing others light up and seeing them move in their gifts. It just I can't even fully express it in words, because it's like, I feel like it's an honor and a privilege. Like, I've been given access to see something so intimate and so beautiful, to see them just blossom. And so twice a month I have classes. One weekend, this weekend actually coming up, is I'm teaching the Usui Holy Fire degrees 1 and 2. And so I have 4 students enrolled in that class. And then in 2 weeks, I have a master certification, because once you're a master, you can also teach others to be master certified who've had the energy and been practicing with it for at least 6 months. So it's been such a pleasure, seeing my students. I've had like one master student so far. She's like, really, she was already a massage therapist, but now her Reiki has strengthened, and she's like, it just reignited her as well. And so on Mondays, what I was doing as part of giving back to my students and to get them used to working with the Reiki energy is have a clubhouse room for them where they get to give Reiki to the collective for free. So today is the third Monday. We said we were going to do 3. So after today's session, we're going to see how they want to move forward. But it's been amazing to see them blossoming, and people are getting healed. People are moving forward in their purpose. People are getting clarity. People feel more connected to the spirit within. So it's been an amazing thing to see. And I'm like overjoyed to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Well, you'll have to, what time do you do it on Mondays? Or
At 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Nice. You'll have to ping me in so I can come check
Yes.
it out.
Definitely.
No, I think that's awesome. And I know that if anybody wants to find you, where can they find you?
Well, I know my name is unique, but I am on Facebook, and it's my first name, so facebook.com/Lizsolette. And they see the spelling on the screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So Facebook, you can find me there. You can find me on Clubhouse, same thing with my name. And then on Instagram, I have my Reiki business. It's at Divine Reiki Love, and Reiki is Reiki. So divine, like divine spirit, Reiki Love is my IG.
Awesome. Yeah. And I do, so in the comments, there, or in the, their comments is all Lizzolette's information. So you can find it there. But I thank you so much for joining me today.
Too.
Do you have any last words that you want to say?
Well, one, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to share the part of our spirituality and mental health. Um, and I just want to say to anyone that if you are struggling with your beliefs, it's okay. You're going to have people around you who are not going to understand. That's also okay, because it's not their part of the journey, it's yours. And it's okay, like I said, to investigate what you are feeling, what you are thinking, because at the end of the day, the only person you live with on a day-to-day basis is yourself. So when you're having those struggles and you're having those doubts and your things aren't feeling right, those are all indications that you're not listening to your inner voice. Your intuition, every single one of us has it. And the way it gets stronger is by listening, taking those chances. If you feel you need to stop going, you listen to it. Allow yourself to feel the fear, move forward. Give people the grace to not understand, to say what they're going to say. That's their opinion, but this is your life. Don't take the weight of their opinion over the importance of your life. If you definitely feel that you need help and nothing you're doing is helping you, and you're having any type of thoughts of not wanting to be here, I want to tell you that you are loved, you are important, you are needed. So please reach out. I'm pretty sure Kelly has the information where if you're feeling you need to talk to somebody, I'm pretty sure she has all the hotline information. Know that you're not alone. Know that you're not without assistance. Be willing to reach out, be willing to talk, and be willing to listen to the spirit on the inside, the voice that tells you you are loved, the the voice that tells you you are enough, the voice that tells you you are worthy. That's the true voice that you want to listen to on the inside. If it's telling you anything else, you don't want to, that's not the voice you want to listen to. You want to listen to the voice that lifts you up and makes you feel good. So with that, I'll give it back to you, beautiful Kelly.
No, that was amazing. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. So thank you so much. But I thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Well, that has been another episode of Mental Health Mondays. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, do all the things. If you want to find Lizsolette and join her on Clubhouse or take any of her Reiki classes, you can become a master Reiki. Yeah, I'm totally not saying it right, but super cool. So find her on Clubhouse, find her on Instagram or Facebook. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share to our YouTube channel, and so that you don't miss out on any upcoming episode, because I promise you we have some amazing guests, as we always have. We do this every single Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we can't do it without your help. So make sure that you go and sign up to become a warrior for mental health today. And I didn't wear my shirt, but I wore my love life, but I did bring it. See, I brought the shirt. So you can get one of your own really cool Warrior for Mental Health shirts. All you have to do is donate $20 or more per month, and that gets you a shirt, and it goes to all of our programs so that we can bring more of these programs and all of our education about mental health to you. And yes, like Lizsolette said, you're not alone. I have all the numbers for the National Suicide Hotline, the crisis line, wherever you're at, whatever you're needing, reach out to us and we can absolutely help you. But I appreciate you for watching. Again, like, subscribe, share, make sure that you don't miss another episode, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye.